Hello, hello, Dr. Brett Spradlin here. We are at Divine Design Natural Health. Do we have a crowd or do we have a crowd? Little housekeeping before we get right into this. April 17th, today, 2023, The Root of All Evil, Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1, which was, I believe it was March 13th, go to the website, go to the new patient, or go to the videos tab and just go back to all of our old classes. That was The Root of All Evil, Part 1. That was about a month ago. This is your much promised and ready to rock Part 2, The Root of All Evil. Next, in about a month, we will do May 8th. We will do Lies Chiropractors Tell, Part 2. I'm equally throwing everybody under the bus, including other chiropractors. We throw the MDs under the bus. We throw the nurses and the NPs and the PAs under the bus. You got to throw the chiropractors under the bus. They eat their own. I mean, come on. So that's May 8th, Lies Chiropractors Tell, Part 2. Then June 12th is the much anticipated Part 4 of Say What You Meme What You Say, I think, which is probably one of the funnier classes that we do. People have a good, Jonathan almost inhaled his headphones at Part 3. I've never heard him laugh so hard. So April 17th today, May 8th, and June 12th. That's all the housekeeping we need to do. Now, this is a lot of the product of a lot of time, a lot of research over the last 3 years. I'll get into kind of my history of this whole thing, but first I want to do a quick review of Part 1. Let's get right into this. And everybody pass that around, sign it, put your social security number, put your credit card numbers, all of it, just on that. So we're going to quick review. I'm not going to talk about any of it. You want to know any of it and the commentary on all of it, go back and watch Part 1. But review from The Root of All Evil, Part 1, which was on March 13th, we covered what is money, what is inflation, how is money currently understood. We discussed the Keynesians versus the Austrian school, two different thoughts of economics. When did money become corrupted? What does the Bible actually say about money? Kind of an important topic. Scriptures that come to mind, very important. We just listed a bunch off. Misconceptions about money, all the stuff that we've been raised with, thinking, the misconceptions, the bad ideas we have about money. And then we talked about where should you keep your money right now. We'll review a little bit of that in here. We'll review that. Why should you be proactively concerned about this? We will talk about that. And back on March 13th, that week, that was a Monday, so that weekend, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, my phone, my email, everything was going off with what at that point? That was when all the banks were collapsing. Massive Signature Bank, Silicon Valley Bank. Everybody was wondering, is there going to be money in the banks on Monday morning, right? So why should you be proactively concerned about this and not just reactively reacting to it? We're trying to get ahead of the curve here. I'm trying to teach everybody how to do something proactively. But then what are central bank digital currencies? You need to know this because those events, it's not stopping. The banks are going to keep collapsing. They're all insolvent. They're all in debt. There's no way out. It's not a question of when. There's no if. It's a question of just when it's going to happen. So this is a lifeboat. This is a way out. And then we reviewed, we'll review this from that day also, the Part 1. We covered the frequently asked questions about the Apex solution, the big time, heavy duty butt kicker of solutions in how to get out of this mess. And we said, why? Why is it Bitcoin? We said, and then, some of the arguments, some of the objections, some of the things that people say, well, it's not real. I can't touch it. What about gold and silver? And I will say this too. I'm into precious metals. I like silver. I do. I'm not saying you have to do only Bitcoin. If you want to do real estate and you want to do stocks and bonds, fine, you can. I'm telling you, put a little bit of something into Bitcoin and at least learn how to move it around. That's the whole purpose of this whole thing. I'm not telling you sell everything you own and cash in your 401k and your IRA and all your annuities and all that stuff and just go 100%, both pockets into Bitcoin. That's completely up to you. This is not financial advice. I'm just saying learn how this technology operates, learn the benefits of it, and then learn how to move it. And that's what we'll teach you later on. Not today, but that's what we'll teach you later on. So what about gold and silver? What about all those other coins? There's new ones coming out every day. Who created Bitcoin? Who owns all the computers? Isn't Bitcoin too volatile? I can't afford $25,000 for a Bitcoin. A month ago, the price of Bitcoin was 25 grand. Anybody know what it is now? 30 grand. So in a month, it went up 5 grand. I'm not saying it does that every month, but what I am saying is this is a technology that as more and more people understand this, and as more and more governments understand it, and as more and more industry understands it, There's no way this is going to go away, and the value of it up and to the right, up and to the right. So I can't afford 25K for a Bitcoin. You don't have to. With only 21 million, there's not enough to be used for trade. Yeah, there's plenty. What if they shut down the internet? What if they ban it? I don't know how it works. I'm not tech savvy. Bitcoin uses too much energy. It's boiling the oceans. It's causing global warming, the whole 9 yards. So there's all of these talking points in the media against it, but you need to understand why those talking points are there. So if you want to understand some of those, go back to the first class, watch those. Watch the first class. It's about an hour and a half long, stops right at about 90 minutes. Just check it out. So why is a natural health practice talking about money? Well, review this too. Review this. I'm just going to tear through this from part one. In treatment rooms, when I'm talking to people, there's only one question I will not answer. I will not talk to people about money. It's not, not that I don't like talking to people about money, but it's just not the place. I'm there to do clinical stuff. The girls, everybody up front is trained to talk to you about money, taking payments, all that. So if people start telling me, oh, I can't afford this or I can't afford that, I said, look, I'm the wrong dude to talk to. I don't answer any of those questions. You got to decide what you're going to afford, as we'll talk about here in a minute. But what are the things that you hear doing natural health? You'll always hear natural health is so expensive. I say premiums, deductibles, copays, coinsurance, prescription costs, driving to Vanderbilt twice a month, having 12 specialists. I say that's expensive. It's all relative, right? You know what I mean? So, but Medicare pays for my health care. Well, no, you paid for your health care. And when Medicare pays for your health care, you're going to keep paying for your health care because your health care is going to keep revisiting you, right? So no, you paid for your health care. And it's not really health care, by the way. Your Medicare, your murder care, as I call it, is socialized medicine. Just go look at what's going on in medicine, or go look what's going on in Canada with medical assistance in dying. Now they're killing, it's below 12 years old. They're wanting to take out 12-year-olds that just want to die. In Canada. That's socialized healthcare. That's the progenitor of Medicare, and it's coming here. And it's already here. It's called Medicare. I call it murder care. I didn't pay for my knee replacements. Au contraire, mon frère, you did pay for your knee replacements. And as a matter of fact, the insurance companies now are figuring out that once they give you one knee replacement, it'll be X number of years and so many days until you'll need that other knee replacement, because they've got it all charted out on how long you're going to live, and they can zero in on how long you're going to live right down to the month based on a few things. Want to know? How many surgeries you've had, how many drugs you take, your diet. The insurance companies have figured it all out. There probably will be another class in the near future just where I'll present to you all the stuff that the life insurance and the health insurance companies are figuring out that the doctors don't know. It's nuts. It's nuts. But I'm thinking I'm going to put together a class just so you all know how this whole game runs and how it all gets played. But I didn't pay for my knee replacements. Yes, you did. My insurance is free. Nothing's free. Stamps went up the other day. Mail in a letter ain't free. So nothing. It's not free. Just trust me. You always have time enough. Check this out. I tell people this is all you'll ever hear me talk about money in one of the treatment rooms. You will have enough time and money and energy always to do what you find important. If you want to play video games, that's it. If it's adding, 6,000 square feet onto your house, that's it. If it's going on a cruise, that's it. If it's your health, that's what's important. To me, how are you going to go on a cruise if you're dead? How are you going to build onto your house if you're sick? How are you going to enjoy it, right? So to me, it's just the answer's obvious. Some of the misconceptions people have about money make this a very convoluted process, but your health should always come first. So show me your calendar, your contact list, your credit card, your bank statements, your tithe reports, whatever, and I will tell you what is most important in your life. You spend your time and your money and your energy on the things you find most important. This is a fact. If it's TV, it's TV. If it's listening to Dave Ramsey, it's Dave Ramsey. You follow me? So you have the same number of hours in the day that we all have, that Jesus had, and you will find value. You will put your value and put your life effort into those 24 hours the way that you see fit. It's up to you how you stack those priorities. So spend it. I just tell people, spend it on your healthcare in small increments now, rather than trying to recover from a very expensive catastrophe farther on down the road. During, by the way, that healthcare catastrophe, you don't want that healthcare catastrophe that you're putting on your calendar to happen in the middle of a grid down, shizzle hits the fizzle scenario where there's no hospitals and the electricity went off and they're shutting off and siphoning the water. You want to be healthy before any of this stuff happens. You have access to rebuilding your body here for pennies on the dollar. Every dollar you spend here is 40, depends on who you read, 40 to 80 that you're not putting into big pharma. So if people think that it's expensive here, No, you just go down the street to any one of the 416 pharmacies in this town and find out how expensive it really is. Well, actually, you know what? Take that back. They'll give you the drugs for free nowadays. They'll find a way to give them to you for free. But it's getting the insurance and it's the health and getting the doctor to write you the prescription that's going to cost you an arm and a leg. Observation. Somebody was talking to me about this today. I said, that's in the class. Politicians don't talk about Social Security anymore because they've handled the problem by decreasing your lifespan with the foods we eat and the poisons distributed by your current healthcare system. When I was a kid, they used to be talking about this all the time. Every election would run, well, how are you going to handle Social Security? I didn't know what it was back then, and I barely know what it is now. I just know I don't want any part of it. But there's no longer a Social Security or a socialist insecurity problem because you'll be dead, particularly with the events of the last 3 years, and they know it. So they're not even talking about it, and they're not trying to run on that platform anymore, and they're not trying to get elected on anybody doing anything with socialist insecurity because they know it's dead. Next. Why? Why are we talking? Why is a natural health practice talking about money? Somebody has to. Schools aren't doing it. Churches aren't doing it. Well, some churches are doing a good job of it, but a lot of times it's because schools and nowhere else is teaching financial literacy. We've all been confused, and most of us who haven't awakened to this, you can't use the word woken anymore, awakened. Most of us who haven't awakened to this, people, if you haven't awakened to this, you don't even know that you're confused. So, and then why are we talking about this? Why? Because there's nothing more ethical than educating people to understand both their health and their wealth, because without health, you can neither generate nor control one's wealth, because everything that you do to generate wealth is through health that God gave your body, your hands, your feet, your eyes, your ears, your intellect at your office or your sales job or whatever it is to be able to bust enough, but to be able to earn income, right? And it's difficult to be healthy if you're unable to control your monetary energy, aka wealth. What is money? Money is this. Go back to the old class and watch this. We have a fascinating conversation on what really is money. Money is just encapsulated monetary energy. It's the time. It's your time encapsulated into something that you can spend and or save. That's money. But see, for so long now, the government has dictated, well, we're going to make this money, paper money, and then eventually, when it gets to the point where all the wheels are coming off the cart, they just print more, which devalues your what? Your money. Because if time is money, and they just printed a bunch more money, they just totally devalued your time. Go back and watch that. Next. So we're not just looking out for you, the people in this room, we're looking out for your generations, because what do we do here? Saving lives ahead of time, right? So we're trying to get through to you so that now you can have some kind of incorruptible savings that you can pass down to your kids, that there's no inheritance tax. You follow me? You get what I'm saying? We'll talk more about that later on. So this broad overview, it's not exhaustive, but it will serve to introduce you to many new concepts. It's not going to be everything, but we answered a lot of questions in the first one. So you check out the first one, check out this one. If you still have questions, you definitely want to hop on the workshop that we're doing in the near future. We'll talk more about that at the end. Robert Kiyosaki is a big real estate gold guy. He's also a big Bitcoin guy. He knows what he's doing financially. But he said this. I love this quote. I found this a long time ago. Bitcoin is capitalism. The dollar is communism. The one thing history teaches us is that we don't learn from history. I will review this part from part one. I want you to see this. Bitcoin by the numbers. Now, I'll just read through this. You can go back and review it. But Bitcoin is up 200% for a decade. It's no longer at $1 trillion market cap. I think it's like 600 billion, something like that. But at one point, it got to a $1 trillion market cap back when the heyday was going on in November 2021. However, we'll use that $1 trillion mark just to make the math really, really easy. By comparison, gold is up just 2% for a year and has a $10 trillion market cap. How long has gold been around? Forever, 6,000 years, right? How long has Bitcoin been around? 14 years. So Bitcoin's been around 14 years. Gold's been around 6,000, 5,000. Some people would say 6,000 years. And Bitcoin's at 1 trillion and gold's at 10 trillion. So Bitcoin's already at the 10% mark of what gold has been, okay? Bitcoin went from 0 to 1 trillion in 12 years. By comparison, Google took 22, Amazon took 24, Apple took 42, and Microsoft took 44 years to go to a trillion, okay? So just FYI, the biggest companies in the world took a much longer time to get a market cap that Bitcoin accomplished in 12 years. We covered this in the first class. We talked a little bit more about it. But if we just take the $100 trillion of the world economy and put that into Bitcoin, very conservative estimate, as I'll show you here in this next slide, If we just took 100 trillion of the world economy and put that into Bitcoin, and you divide that by the number of Bitcoin, the market cap would then be $100 trillion. You divide that into 21 million Bitcoin that are available out there, and you've got Bitcoin can go to 5 million per coin. You're talking about putting the whole entire world's economy into a Bitcoin standard. Fascinating things to think about here, because now you've got money that's not printed by a government, that's not corruptible, that you can custody and you can send around the world at the speed of light for zero fees. You see why the media is telling you this is bad? This eliminates their credit card fees, this eliminates their banks, this eliminates their paycheck to cash places, this eliminates Western Union, this eliminates your bookkeepers and your CPAs, this eliminates a lot of lawyers, this eliminates a whole lot of scandals, right? Here's a conservative breakdown of the world economy. So remember, last time we just stuffed 100 trillion into it and said, okay, if you divide that, do the math. It's right there. Anybody can see it. 5 million. Here's a conservative breakdown done in a different way of the world economy's asset classes that function as a store of value. Asset classes that function as a store of value. You say, okay, real estate, people store money in houses. People store money in their bonds and their stocks, gold. You've got all this other stuff like cars, art, stamp collections, baseball cards, stuff like that. And then if you total that up, whole worldwide real estate value, 325 trillion. We're doing very, 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 by the books and by the numbers and by the available statistics, we're going a very conservative number here. Very conservative number all the way around. Worldwide bonds, 115. Worldwide stocks, 100 trillion. That's public, not private, FYI. Worldwide gold, we just talked about, 10 trillion, right? Collectibles, nobody knows. Nobody really knows that. But if we take that total all these numbers here, and it comes out to 550 trillion, minimum. Minimum. Still, very, 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 very conservative estimate. Then if we just assume, let's take 25% of that total as a store of value. Say, if we just sucked 25% of the world's asset classes that store value into Bitcoin, it'd be 25% of this number is 138 trillion. And that's a conservative numbers, conservative percentage, conservative number, conservatively, right? Then you take that 138 trillion divided by the available Bitcoin out there, 21 million, and you get 6.5 million. However, there's about 3 or 4 million Bitcoin that nobody knows where they're at. 3 or 4 million Bitcoin that people died, they lost their private keys, Bitcoin that we don't know if we don't even know. You die with your Bitcoin, nobody gets it. You take it to your grave, right? So there's 4 million that nobody knows. So that would make this number bigger. Divide this number into this number, and that would make that number bigger. You get what I'm saying? So you contribute to the network if you die with your private keys in your head. You're a philanthropist. You just made everyone a little bit richer. If you take your Bitcoin to the grave with you, and you just inspired someone else's retirement account. You get what I'm saying? Now, keep in mind, this is all denominated by the worthless paper fiat trash money that we all call US dollars. So think about it this way. You have to start thinking in Satoshis, or you have to start thinking in Bitcoin. You have to start thinking like, a quarter when I was a kid buys a lot different amount of something than a quarter today. So we're still denominating this in our brain dead way of saying this is all dollars. What happens if we got to an incorruptible money system where this number is not getting inflated like crazy every 5, 10, 15, 20 years? You get what I'm saying? So I wanted to review this for people, because if you see the potential for where this is going, and you see all of the scams out there and the altcoin stuff that I dabbled into in order to detract attention away from Bitcoin, you see that this number can get massive, massive. And there's so many things out there these other coins are saying that they're doing that Bitcoin already does. It took me a while to see this. It took me 3 years to see this, but I'll show you what we found. So, and quickly, how do we accept payments? Just so you know, Bitcoin, Monero, silver and gold, bars, coins and rounds, Venmo, Cash App, Strike, health savings accounts, flexible spending accounts, Care Credit, Cash, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. And if you want to, you can split up however you pay us in a bunch of different ways. So we're very, very, very lean over backwards trying to help people to make everything affordable so that they can get care here and get out of the medical system. Everybody understand that? Quick review of what we did, part 1. Let's get right into part 2. Some memes for you. I don't accept science from people who claim a man can be a woman. Amen. Right on, right? Well, why would my doctor advise me to take a product that will make me sick? He says, I think you're underthinking it. I think you're underthinking it. I know this one doesn't have anything to do with the money topic, but this is too priceless of a meme. I thought we need to share this. Slavery wasn't really abolished. I'll read this for you. Income tax. I know you can't see this in the far back, but you worked hard with income tax. You worked hard, and now you get paid. I'll take 25 to 50% of your income. Sales tax. So you want to spend some of the income you made? Perfect. I'll charge you an additional 5 to 10% on what you buy. Right? Property tax. So you saved a portion of your income and you want to buy a home instead of paying rent. I'll charge you thousands each year for the privilege, even after your home is paid off. Sound familiar? Capital gains. So you want to take some of your income to invest. Great. You take all the risk. If you make the money, I'll take 20% to 50% of your gains. If you lose, you can only deduct $3,000 per year. Right? You all know that's right, right? Inheritance tax. You worked hard and you saved and you built up assets. You want to leave to your family. The problem is you died with too much money. Shame, shame, shame. We'll take a portion of what you left as well. So are you starting to see and realize that you are merely a tax slave for a corrupt government that's sending all of your money to a foreign country that nobody cares about? Amen. Right? And the politicians are all in on it. And they're running this giant satanic cult of just blood sacrifice with getting everybody to suck down these products. They're poisoning all the food, the air, the water, the chemicals, the cosmetics, the cleaning supplies, the vaccines, the medications, and then they're gutting the whole system, and they're just printing money for their buddies that are standing next to the money printer. Uncomfortable truths, but true nonetheless. It took me a while to really swallow the old orange pill, as they say, on this, but I feel like a moral obligation to get this out to people so that they can understand this is the system we live under. This is why nothing's ever changing. You can try to vote. You can try to change it with your votes. You can try yelling at a building and holding a stick. You can try. Next. William Casey, CIA director for 6 years in the mid-'80s. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. These guys are absolute demons. No one rules if no one obeys. Correct. Guy Fawkes. And last but not least, stop assuming anyone vaxxed who dies suddenly died from the vax. You mean like you assumed anyone who died with COVID died of COVID? Muffled screeching. Okay, Mom, microphone. Real quick, got a question. Come on up. So just to illustrate a point, hold out. I'll ask you a few questions. Tell me about, just briefly, we'll make this like a two-minute little thing. I will. Well, can you tell?
I'm the pretty one.
She is the pretty one. This is my mother. This is my mom. And she moved here
Hi.
back in, you came down in January and got a condo, tried to get a condo. What happened with that? Just make it a brief little thing. Why we're illustrating, it's so important for you to take control of your own prosperity, your wealth, your money, however you want to say it. What happened? Just briefly.
Well, my investment that I thought I could get in 3 days was impossible. The advisor didn't want to let go.
She found a house
In
or a
fact,
condo.
he never did.
She found a condo she liked. She called up her financial advisor guy and said, hey, I want to buy this house. He said, I don't think that's a good idea. The housing market's crazy. He wouldn't let her have her money. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So...
I even called the company where it was invested. They wouldn't even talk to me. So, several weeks or months later, I found out that he had actually submitted a form that I was being...
That she was a victim of elder abuse.
Victim of elder abuse. So I didn't need my money, which was crazy. And I didn't know that for months. It was so... I mean, I'd gone to this guy for 20 years. Trusted him. He did my taxes. He did everything. And all of a sudden, he wouldn't do anything.
He was saying you were subject to elder?
Mm-hmm. He thought I was a victim of elder abuse.
He didn't want to release the money to her.
He knew better because I talked to him on the phone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what he submitted to the company that I didn't know.
And what that did was it locked down her money so nobody could get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because... see, they're managing her money for 20 years. So they're making something off of it and then giving her the leftovers probably. And so they're not wanting that much money to get sucked out of their little fund, right? So they just make up an excuse, whether it's they took too many psychiatric meds that day or whether they think you did. See, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They've got control of your money.
Totally. And you can do nothing about it. You know, I was just in shock for a while because I didn't believe that could happen. But it can happen in a heartbeat.
And that was a retirement account or a
Part of it.
like an IRA or
Yeah,
something.
it was actually 3 different accounts.
So it's a
He froze them all.
so think about like your health savings accounts and your flexible spending accounts that people come in here and they're like, well, I tried to spend my money that I took out of my paycheck and put it in my FSA or my HSA here, but now they're telling me I can't spend it. It's not your money anymore, right? Or people who can't get to their 401k or their IRA or their brokerage account, yeah, they can't get to it. It's just like going to the bank and saying, I want to pull out, $50,000. Oh, well, we don't have that money on hand.
Well, he had assured me all these years, just give him 3 days' notice. I could have anything I wanted in 3 days.
It doesn't work like that.
It didn't work.
Right.
Because at my age, he thought he had it for the rest of my life. Because I was actually saving for my kids, I thought. Until I found this condo and decided to move down here to be close to my kids.
There went all of my money.
And there. So long.
Well, that's what you just said. No.
You've got a condo now.
Yeah.
Part of a condo.
Perfect. So yeah,
But it can happen and really shock you because you don't know unless you try it. I had no idea that I could be in that predicament.
yeah.
I'm literally dying.
Yes, it's fixed. It's fixed, but it took,
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
no way, that's not gonna.
yeah, it's
Well-
fixed, but it took a lot of unnecessary trial and tribulation, and it took a lot of phone calls
a
and
lot of
just time.
sleepless nights.
She was worried. Everybody was kind of freaked out. I was ready to go to Michigan and pull a hit. And yeah, and but yeah, it just illustrated to me and our family like this is why we Bitcoin. This is why this fixes this.
Any bank can do that.
Any bank can do this.
If you look at the fine print, any
Yep.
bank can keep your money.
Yep. It's no longer yours. It's an asset on their balance sheet. Yeah.
Well, it's no longer his either.
It's not his.
Controls it.
Correct. So that's why I wanted to
Yeah.
illustrate. Well, thank you, Mom.
So
I wanted, what was the last thing?
Well, just if you need something, try it first. You might be surprised,
Yeah.
like I was, because it took me by total surprise.
Yeah.
Expose their name,
But
the organization?
with God's help, it all.
We will after the cameras shut off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Did that die or was it not on? Did you catch all that?
Very end of time.
Okay. Can we replace that? Okay, cool. So that was just a quick illustration I wanted you guys to see. It happened to my own family. And here I'm going, wow, I'm teaching a class on Bitcoin. This was like this happened in January. I thought, okay, that's the deal. That's the cake taker. I really need to talk about this in my March class, because people need to know about this. And then certainly that over that weekend was when the whole banking thing was going down. So FYI. Now, before we get into this, hold that slide for a minute, John. Before I'll tell you, I first heard about Bitcoin in 2014. The price was, I think, $500 or $600. Back then, though, I had just moved to this town. I was just starting this practice, and I didn't have $400 or $600. And I most certainly probably wouldn't have spent it in magic internet money on something that I didn't know anything about. So I was busy for the next 6-7 years just building this place and helping people and just praying and, okay, Lord, what do we do next? What's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? So then probably, I want to say really, really, really went down the big rabbit hole in 2020. Whole world's blowing up. I'm like, oh, okay, we're in the book of Revelation now. I need to figure this out. And so that's when I started really figuring out because what were the big events too? We all knew that the banking collapse was coming. We all knew that there were some big things that were going to happen. So 2020, I thought, I need to take this time while the whole world's shut down and go down the rabbit hole on this whole cryptocurrency thing because it is the future. I mean, we've got digital movies, we've got digital music. Why don't we have digital money, right? It's like 80 years behind, right? Why is everything digital? You can call somebody over the internet, but you can't send money over the internet. What? This doesn't make sense. How much easier is it to send a number than it is to send a voice file? Just didn't make sense to me. So I thought, okay, I need to look into this cryptocurrency thing. Started looking at cryptocurrency, figured it out. It was like, okay, this makes sense. Everything at that point was like crypto casino. You could just buy, dog coins and stick them on an exchange and make a bunch of interest, and that you come back the next day and you've got more dog coins. You're like, wow, I earned more interest in 4 seconds than I did with Bank of America in the last 8 years. And it was really interesting because you started thinking about, whoa, if I put everything on these different exchanges at different interest rates and I split it up the right way, now we can make this stuff work for me in a way that real estate and gold and stocks and bonds and mutual funds never could. So I did that for a couple of years. And then I saw the writing on the wall, saw the crypto casinos kind of coming to an end. And I was like, I better pull out of this. Stuff in, I don't know how many different exchanges. I'd hate to say. There's still stuff out there floating around somewhere, I'm sure, that I don't know about. But at any rate, I realized very quickly when I saw the end kind of coming, it was like, I better get, instead of 60-40 Bitcoin, I better get 100% Bitcoin. I better just move everything into this. It's the only one that's never gone anywhere. It's the only one everything else is measured off of it. But I knew that from the very beginning, and I'd stayed pretty heavy 60-40 in Bitcoin. Well, probably about last February, March, April, I guess, is like when everything started just getting torn apart. All these massive Terra Luna went down, Celsius went down, Voyager went down, BlockFi went down. And thankfully, I was out of all of that stuff. So it was very, very, educational experience because I saw people lose millions of, not people I knew, but like it was all over the internet. And it was like this big, giant crypto casino just came crashing down. But thankfully, just because I studied stuff and prayed and kind of knew, ahead of time, some of the things that were happening, I was able to get out of that and exit all that and just get everything into Bitcoin. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. But my crypto journey, like over the last 3 years, I mean, that's all I did. Ask my wife. That's all I did. I'd get home and I'd study this stuff and I'd watch videos and I'd listen to podcasts and I'd just immerse myself in this thing because I fell in love with the technology of this, some of this stuff, not all of it, but some of the stuff that's outside the reach of the central bankers and the planners and the warmongers and the military industrial complex. So I fell in love with the ethos of not just cryptocurrency, and I'll differentiate Bitcoin versus cryptocurrency. There's Bitcoin and then there's cryptocurrency. So when you hear somebody refer to cryptocurrency, you almost have to really ask them, like, what's your definition of cryptocurrency? Because people will ask me all day, is red meat good for me? Can I eat red meat? What about water? Should I drink water? What about dairy? I've been told I'm dairy intolerant. I can't have lactose and, I can't have milk. Well, you have to define dairy, you have to define water, and you have to define red meat nowadays because it's all been corrupted, right? Same thing with cryptocurrency. Like Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It is the first cryptocurrency, but there's now all these other cryptocurrencies. And basically, make a long story short, most of them are just pump and dump. People just print it, and then they sell it to you, and then the rug gets pulled. What they're doing is they're running their own Federal Reserve. They're running their own little money printer, but it looks very different because it's a cryptocurrency that's sold on a legitimate exchange. We'll get into a little bit of that later on. But I just wanted to say, crypto journey over the last 3 years, it's really all I did. So if there's a safe, effective way to do this, I know the safest, most effective way to do this. So I can walk people through this and go, okay, now do this, do step 1, do step 2, do step 3, and now you are in charge of as much of your financial energy as you want to be, because now you know how to do it. I love that. I love breaking people out of the pharmakia, Babylonian witchcraft medical system voodoo cult that is now American healthcare and saying, here's your freedom, independence, and your sovereignty in health. So why should we not do the same thing in people's wealth so that they can get out of this debt slavery system and be sovereign individuals in charge of their own custodial rights to their own financial monetary energy, right? So that's why we're doing this class. So one thing, so I told you before, I do hold precious metals, but you can do one, you can do others, you can do both, you can do, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to put your money in. But I'm just telling you, for me and for most people out there now, because of the state of the world, this, if you really do the homework and you look into this, and I can give you the resources that I used, if you look into this, you're going to find that this is the best, simplest, easiest, fastest, most sensible way to protect yourself in the future and your kids in the future. So. And just FYI about the name, I made the name the root of all evil just to kind of draw people in. So people already know the root of all evil. They know what the class is going to be about. But just understand, I had people ask me about this. It's not money is the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. I just wanted to clarify that for everybody who watched part 1 and thought they were catching me on something. Okay, so brief history, real quick, and we'll run through all this stuff. what do we do? What are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about January 3rd, 2009, 14 years ago. A pseudonymous means a fake name. Genius, or a bunch of geniuses, named Satoshi Nakamoto and officially invented what was called Bitcoin. Whoever this mystery person or group is, they managed to create the world's first cryptocurrency. That's why I explained what I just explained to you. So you don't get the two confused. That would soon change everything as we know it. Formally defined, Bitcoin, usually with a capital B, is a worldwide borderless decentralized protocol, big words, I'll explain some of this stuff later, that enables the peer-to-peer, that means person-to-person, P2P, exchange of the Bitcoin currency, usually with a lowercase b, but people don't care whether it's big or small, b, just Bitcoin. But I just differentiate it for you. Which has a fixed maximum supply and a known decreasing issuance rate. Very important right there. A fixed maximum supply and a known decreasing issuance rate. Right now, Bitcoin is being created, right now. And every 10 minutes, there's a new block. So there is a decreasing amount of Bitcoin being created. Every 4 years is an event that we'll talk about called the halving. And so what does that tell you? There's a maximum supply, a maximum number that will ever be made, ever, by the code, cryptographically baked in, hardwired into the code. So there is a maximum limit of how much will ever exist, and at the same time, there is a decreasing amount being made to reach, eventually, that maximum limit. So over time, there's going to be less and less Bitcoin created at a slower and slower rate. Probably about 90% of the Bitcoin that ever going to be created are already created. How are they created? We'll get to that. But it's two things that are sets this apart. There's a maximum supply that will never change, and there is a decreasing issuance rate over time. Know that. Your money does not have a fixed maximum supply, and the issuance rate every year goes up. Makes it worthless. So this fixes that problem. Next, Bitcoin allows us, if you were to encapsulate this whole entire presentation and why you need to know it in one slide, it's right here. Bitcoin allows us to send money to anyone, anywhere in the world without the need for an intermediary like a bank or a credit card issuer getting their filthy mitts on 3% every time it gets passed to a person. It offers an improved alternative to the current inequitable, inaccessible, and inflationary financial system where whoever stands closest to the money printer gets all the money. That's what politics is. By decentralizing finance, I'll define the term decentralizing here in a minute, we are progressively simplifying a very complex and unethical system into a permissionless network where anyone can participate. There are people in the world who can't have a bank account because they don't have a credit report and there's no bank in their country. So how do you make the world equitable where anybody can transact with anybody? We just thought of a way 14 years ago, brilliant invention, right up there with the printing press, right? This is massive. People have been trying to figure out the problems that Bitcoin fixes for thousands of years. And now it's transportable, instantaneous electrical energy across on the other side of the world with no fees. It's crazy. This is crazy. And this is very different than your Venmo and your PayPal. Very different. It is literally a chain of digital blocks. Some people call it a blockchain. Bitcoin people call it a time chain because there is a little bit of a difference. Don't get lost. But it's literally a chain of digital blocks that holds data as a publicly visible ledger. Its history and validity are verified by Bitcoin full nodes, also called computers, all across the world that each keep a full copy of the blockchain history. We talked about this in the last class. Because transactions are secured by the public blockchain, there's no need for an intermediary source of trust in order to confirm, A, that your coins are real, or B, that your transactions aren't fraudulent. This publicly verifiable, mathematically programmed, cryptographically sound blockchain is the only proof you need. So in other words, it's not just one person's computer at the Fed. It's not the Bank of America login that shows you a made-up number on your computer screen. It's hundreds of thousands of other computers all talking to each other at the same time. How hard would that be to crack? Pretty hard. We'll get to that later on. Well, and we actually, no, we won't. We won't talk about like the Bitcoin, people thinking, oh, Bitcoin can be hacked, and Bitcoin's never been hacked. Exchanges that held Bitcoin were hacked. So an exchange, somebody got into the exchange and removed the Bitcoin off the exchange, and the media says what? Bitcoin was hacked. right? You see how they tell a lie as part of the truth. It's no secret that the current financial, so sound money, what is this? When you hear the term sound money, how many of you know what sound money is? Anybody in this room ever heard the term sound money? See? You've heard the term. Here it is. So Bitcoin is sound money. I'll show you. It's like, see, this is stuff where you go, man, I've been dealing in money my whole life. Like we trade and we barter and we do this and we do that. And I got a checking account. I've never heard the term until you get into Bitcoin, sound money. It's just, they don't teach you. Why? They don't want you to know this. So it's no secret that the current financial system is irreparably broken. So with hyperinflation, economic inequality, inequity, and dependence on nation states that constantly exercise their military power, that's why all of this happens. Paper money isn't truly backed by anything sound. So sound, what does it mean? It means authentic. It means genuine. It means provable, right? Paper money is not backed by anything like that. It's a product of power and control, the fiat money, the paper money, because it's the military power that backs it up. You see? For instance, if the IRS says, if you don't give us your taxes, what are they going to do? At gunpoint, we're going to put you in a cage, right? Welcome to the land of the free, home of the brave, right? But if we want to escape the control of the powers that be, we'll need an alternative system. Bitcoin's a currency with no central authority, no government can control it, so it's not going to suffer from endless rounds of quantitative easing, QE. You heard that back in '08 and all that, or any other money printing schemes employed by corrupt governments. They feel like they wake up with a wild hair and they want to ship $4 billion over to Ukraine. They just print it. They just print it. And the people standing next to it, all the military people and all the, the tank manufacturers and Radon and all these people, Raytheon, that are making all these things, who profits the most? Whoever's standing closer to the money printer. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? So Bitcoin runs off proof of work. We'll talk about that in a minute. Fiat paper money runs off proof of war. There you go. And if you want this spelled out, I've never said this before, but yeah, see, he agrees. Listen to that. There's a movie called God of War with Nicolas Cage. I never recommend a Nicolas Cage movie for good reason, but this one's actually pretty good. But God of War will show you the weapons manufacturers' cartel and how every war, it'll blow your mind. Just what, you know what? If it's too much of a movie for you, just watch the first 5 minutes of the credits. Tell me when you watch that's not, the first 5 minutes will blow your mind, and you'll see the whole purpose of the whole movie. Money, hard money, easy money, or you could say sound money and soft money, or you could say sound money and fake money. Hard money, stuff it's hard to produce. It's Bitcoin, it's gold, it's silver, right? Easy money, easy to produce. Paper money, salt, shells, glass beads, all the stuff in history that people, dirt. Would dirt be an easy money or hard money? Easy money, hard to produce. But something like this, gold, can the supply of gold be increased? Yes, it can. Why? What if they find more stuff on the ocean floor? Oh man, we can go down another mile with this new diving equipment, right? So where they find, or excavation equipment, they could find a new mine in the middle of the mountain somewhere, right? So the gold supply is fluctuating based on how many mines are open and how many mines are producing at that time. So is the amount of gold on the market manipulated? It's controlled. So the price of gold is controlled, right? But Bitcoin, with a maximum amount ever created and a decreasing issuance rate over time, is going to suck in the liquidity out of this and this and this and this and this, and it's going to become its own world. It will eat the world at some point, as we like to say. Next, in a good way. Did I just skip right through your commercial break? Oh, sorry. Shut me up. All right, come on up. Heidi, commercial break. Sorry, man. Sorry, I blew right through it. I didn't see it. Everybody give Heidi a nice warm round of applause. Yay!
All right, so this patient's been here about 2 months, and she said, well, on the Divine Design program and taking my supplements, I noticed my vision was getting better. I am nearsighted and always wear glasses when driving. When I was driving recently, I noticed I could see way better without my glasses.
Very nice. What do you mean? What do you mean? How do you fix people's eyes? Well, we don't. Their body does. As he takes his glasses off. So that magic number, we'll get to the memes in a minute. Right, Jonathan?
I think we did the first batch of memes.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay. Just if I screw up, just let me know. So that magic number. No one knows where the 21 million Bitcoin cap, the maximum number that will ever be made, comes from. Just an arbitrary number, but what's important is that this number can't be changed, ever. It's baked into the code. In order to change the software to increase the supply cap, everyone, all these computers, all these nodes would have to agree. All the developers, all the nodes, all the people who run nodes, all the miners, all the people would have to agree. What are the chances, right? Because people don't want the value of their Bitcoin to decrease, so there's no way we would reach the consensus required to change this number. If somebody said, well, you know what, I think we need to have 50 million Bitcoin because I want more of them. Try to get everybody in the network to change that number and decrease their own wealth. It's not going to happen. It will never happen. It's baked into how this was thought of, this group. It couldn't have been just one dude. It couldn't have been. There's no way. There's no way, because this is a gift to humanity. So when you look at this, you go, that makes sense. Nobody's going to depreciate their own assets, right? Devalue their own assets. Next. Next. Pretty please. There you go. Proof of work. What does this mean? Proof of work means there is actual work being done that can be proven. People say, well, Bitcoin's not worth anything. There's no intrinsic value. Check this out. It's a consensus algorithm that requires its participants, the miners, to expend electrical energy and computational power in order to lock in batches of new transactions. In exchange, the miners are rewarded with Bitcoin if they're the first, don't get lost on this, to successfully calculate a difficult 64-character hexadecimal serial number, it's called a hash, that identifies the past transaction history, the new transactions, and their own IDs as the winning miner. So in other words, proof of work, there's the electricity that goes into it and the computational power that goes into it that's backing it, right? So it's all this work that has to be done by these computers, these miners, hashing all the time to try to figure out the code, the cryptographic code to be able to mine the next block. And over time, the reward to those miners will go down and down and down and down and down. That's the decreasing issuance rate that I was talking about before. Don't get lost in the weeds on this. All you need to know is, in other words, miners want this Bitcoin reward for themselves. So they'll work tirelessly to try and create a winning solution. So it's proof of work. This isn't proof of sit around and play video games. This is proof of work. There's work being done. It's beautiful. So the winner then sends their solution and the list of transactions it includes to the blockchain, thus securing those transactions publicly for how long? Forever. Because how hard would it be to go back in time and change those blocks? The time chain, the blockchain. You would have to have a lot of computational power because things are getting written over it all the time. It's a block laid down, a block laid down, a block laid down, a block laid down. So there's a complete and total history of every transaction. It's beautiful on the blockchain. About every 10 minutes, this process repeats itself to help decentralize, secure, and confirm all the transactions on the blockchain while rewarding miners for their proof of work. So this isn't proof of sitting in your mom's basement. This is proof of work. Like, this is real deal stuff here. And this is what so many people don't understand. Like, there's electricity, there's power that has to go into this, and people have to pay for the electricity to run the ASIC miners or the AMP miners or their mining rigs to mine this Bitcoin. So there is invested cost into acquiring Bitcoin, to making it. Diamond mining, you got the miner chiseling the rock, a diamond pops out. Bitcoin mining, you got the ASIC machine or the miner chiseling away at these cryptographic puzzles, these codes, these mathematical equations to be able to make the next block. I know, it's if you got more questions on this stuff, ask computer science. You know what, the strangest thing is all the computer science guys don't seem to know anything about this. It's crazy. I talk to computer people and they're like, no, I'm not into Bitcoin. It's like, what? Why are you not into Bitcoin? It's like, I can't figure it out. But it's a lot of computer science. It's a lot of cryptography, people who understand cryptography and how to encrypt certain websites and codes and passwords and things like that. It's a few intertwining disciplines of computer science. And it's very, very, very interesting. That's it. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I don't know how my phone works either, but I use it every day, right? Next. The halving. So 4-year cycle. At the Bitcoin network's genesis, that means right when it started, January 3rd, 2009, 50 Bitcoin were mined in each block, approximately 1 block every 10 minutes. Don't get lost in the weeds here. But for every 210,000 blocks, that's approximately every 4 years, because you're doing 1 block every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes, there's 6 per hour, 6 hours, or six blocks per hour times 24 hours in a day. And you multiply that times 365 times 4, and you get at this. Don't get lost in the weeds, though, but every 4 years is 210,000 blocks of Bitcoin. Okay? Remember, how many Bitcoin are there? 21 million, right? So the number of new Bitcoin mined per block, for every 210,000 blocks, every 4 years, the number of new Bitcoin mined per block is cut in half. As of a year ago, 6.25 new Bitcoin are mined in each block. Sometime in 2024, the block reward will be cut to 3.125. So that means the decreasing issuance rate over time. This is the Bitcoin halving schedule right here. You want to see the 100-year plan, the 150-year plan for Bitcoin? It's already here, right here. I'll read it to you. You can't see it. But here was the Genesis block reward was 50, and then 4 years later, the block reward goes down by half. So it's 25. So that means for every block that is mined, the Bitcoin miner is going to receive 25 Bitcoin. But then 4 years later, the block reward went down in half again. So what's half of 25? 12.5. Right now, we're at the 2020 halving. The block reward is half of 12.5, which is what? 6.25. So next year, in 2024, the 6.25 is going to get cut in half again. So what I'm saying is this. The miners get rewarded less and less every 4 years as the decreasing issuance rate of Bitcoin eventually goes to 0. So that fills in the 21 million Bitcoin maximum supply. So it's the amount of Bitcoin being created is going down until it reaches its maximum supply, and then it's done. 90% of Bitcoin ever in creation is already out there. So that is the 100-year plan. 100 goes to 2136. About 2140, the last Bitcoin will be mined. However, this is the 140-year plan of Bitcoin. Do you want to see the 100-year plan of the Fed? Or, here's an even better one. It's a flaming pile of deuces. They have no plan. They're just going to print more money until the system crashes. I got into the Creature from Jekyll Island probably 15 years ago. G. Edward Griffin. I understood the Fed was not federal and there are no reserves. I understood, like, wow, the whole entire money system is fake. So all these bankers, all these mortgage guys, all these lenders, all these title companies, all this stuff, all these insurance guys, what are they all? We're all basing this, all these politicians, we're all basing this off stuff that's just printed out of thin air. Like, this makes absolutely no sense. Who signed me up for this? Thanks, Mom. Appreciate it. Nobody told me this. Why didn't you tell me this, Ma? I tell you, parents sometimes. But anyway, that's the 100, it was a secret. Yeah, it's a secret to all of us. But that was a 140-year plan for the Fed. There you go. Come on up.
So this patient said, I would get so cold at night, even though I had many layers of clothing, long underwear, many blankets, and my dog was on my bed to get rid of chills. After one pulled session and one foot spa, I have no more chills. Thanks, Divine Design.
Saving feet ahead of time. You know how it is. That's me checking my investment portfolio today. Lead and copper. Those are your top two. I tell people, make sure before you go investing in anything, just make sure you've got your food handled and your water and your bullets and your precious metals like this gentleman was collecting. I'll read this for you. Government, when I make money, I am once again asking for your financial support. Government, when I buy something, I am once again asking for your financial support. Government, when I die, I am once again asking for your financial support. Sound familiar? Breaking. The Fed introduces new $1 bill. Took you a minute, didn't it? They expect you to believe it can end terror, drug use, pollution, sickness, racism, gun violence, poverty, inequality, and crime. but they can't even balance a checkbook. If the government was a company, well, the company would be bankrupt. And if the president, if it was a CEO, he'd be... Next. I don't want the FBI barging in here. I'll just read this. The Federal Reserve created over $1 trillion new dollars in its first 95 years of existence, from 1913 to 2008, 10.5 billion per year. I'll say that again. The Federal Reserve created $1 trillion new dollars in its first 95 years. And of course, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real behemoth is down here. Since 2008, when Bitcoin was started, as a result of this, the Federal Reserve created over $9 trillion. That's $643 billion a year, as opposed to the last 100 years before that, which was $11 billion a year. See where this is going? It's unsustainable. Everybody knows it. And I'll just tell you this. The Bitcoin people I meet are the most erudite, sophisticated, well-read, off-grid, anti-everything that's fake type of people that you want to be around, because they're well-read, they understand economics. They get it. Follow the silenced. I don't listen to them unless they've been silenced off of every platform out there. Because if they're still on YouTube, they're not telling you the truth. What a time to be alive. It's like the collapse of Rome, but with Wi-Fi. Perfect. I wish I wasn't saying that, but it's kind of funny anyway, right? What a time to be alive. Okay, over time, as more people are introduced to the Bitcoin network and start participating in it, does supply go up? No, but demand goes up. See? At the same time, supply growth shrinks because of the halvings, or halvings. Some people call it halvenings. As a result, the price of Bitcoin is pushed higher and higher over every 4-year cycle. It makes sense, doesn't it? It fits. Many think they're too smart for Bitcoin. Many brilliant minds have unsuccessfully attempted to crack it and hack it, eventually realizing the genius of its origins. We shouldn't pass judgment on something until we have at least attempted to understand it, read up on it, watch some stuff. Don't just watch the news and listen to, Jim Cramer tell you that Bitcoin's dead, We need to humbly investigate those things that we initially don't understand. I would never have become a Christian if I didn't humbly investigate something that I thought I already had figured out, right? The media continually trumpets, you'll hear this over and over. When the whole FTX thing happened in November, all they were talking about was Bitcoin. You know how many Bitcoin FTX actually owned? Zero. It was a crypto casino just printing money out of thin air. That's all it was. Biggest fraud case in United States history ever. And it's probably being swept under the rug as we speak. But the media always says Bitcoin's dead. I forget. Somebody has a website out there where they chronicle all the different obituaries for Bitcoin, all the different front page, hundreds and hundreds of magazine articles and front page news things that say Bitcoin is dead. It's crazy. It's like safe and effective, right? Bitcoin obituaries are published nearly every day. Bitcoin keeps coming back, getting more secure, growing its network, proving itself, and making better people, and giving people in other parts of the world property rights, which have been denied them for decades. Next. Bitcoin's a new kind of money that's very special. Here's all you need to know. Actually, you know what? Here's the slide I would say, you know what? This is what you need to know. Take a picture of this. Write this down. Bitcoin's a new kind of money. Very special. 3 reasons. It ain't issued by a government. It's not issued by a corporation. It can't be manipulated by officials or corporate insiders. All other cryptocurrencies are controlled by foundations, developers, venture capitalists, referred to later as VCs, venture capitalists, bankers, or investors. Bitcoin cannot be seized or censored if you hold it correctly. If you hold it correctly. It has to be in the right, like you can't just leave it on Coinbase. They can shut that down. It's a centralized place, right? Anyone can send Bitcoin to anyone else in the world instantly and without a third party or financial services company. You see the benefit of this? Every time somebody comes in here and swipes a credit card, 3 to 4% of it goes to Visa, MasterCard. And then when we go spend it somewhere, we swipe 3 or 4% of it goes to MasterCard. Then they take that money and whoever I give my money to goes and swipes it and 3%. You see how this should be, like, why didn't I ever realize this like in college. Nobody ever showed me this. Why? They don't even teach you how to balance your checkbook anymore because politicians can't do it. Right? I at least learned how to balance a checkbook in high school, but they don't even teach that anymore. But Bitcoin requires no permission or trust. We'll talk about permissionless and trustless later on. But it's basically, I don't need permission to spend it or to save it, and I don't need to trust you. If I'm sending it to you, I don't need to trust you. It's in the code. I don't have to worry about you trying to rip me off. It's trustless. It's a computer protocol. There's no human involved, right? So Bitcoin supply is capped at 21 million. The other reason, very special for 3 reasons, right here. You'll never see none of this right here. Well, I should say this right here. You'll never see this with other cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin is unique in all 3 of these areas. Bitcoin supply is capped at 21 million. It's more scarce than gold and travels instantly anywhere in the world. Bitcoin's the scarcest form of money in human history. That should pique your interest. Scarcest, scarce, hard to find, hard to create. Next. So here's just a little thing to illustrate centralized or decentralized. Think Bank of America, or I should say, think BB and Fee, think Skank of America, think Hell's Cargo, think all the other banks, think Chase, JP Morgan, all of them. Centralized. That means if they shut their doors or if they shut off their ATMs, it's centralized. There's a centralized hub of people in charge of that. Like my mom couldn't get to her money. Dude was centralized. Like there's one guy stepping in between you saying, no, I don't think you're, even if you're not, I don't know. He probably thought dementia or elder abuse or whatever. But even if you're not, they could make it up and say you are. See the problem with this? There's a human involved. Decentralized means these are the nodes, right? If I want to communicate with one of the nodes, if that node's not up and working, guess what? I've only got a couple hundred other million that I can query. You're not shut off. There's not one person in charge of it. That's it. That's all I wanted to show you with that. Next. Here's a little chart for you. Fiat dollars versus Bitcoin. Issued and distributed by the government, secured by cryptography and energy. Which one do you want already? Big deal. One on the right, right? How about commonly counterfeited? Fiat dollars, Bitcoin. It's impossible to counterfeit. Completely impossible. Fiat dollars, completely unlimited supply. Bitcoin, fixed supply at 21 million. It's never going to change. Fiat dollars, susceptible to fraud. Bitcoin, private and secure. See where this is going? High global transfer fees, slow transfer times. Low universal fees, fast transaction times. See, it's the exact opposite. It's like, here's Jesus, here's Caesar. Caesar thinks he's the king, but Jesus is really the king. Right? He acts like the king, but he really is the king, right? Banks operate weekdays, 9 to 5, closed on weekends and holidays. Guess what about Bitcoin? It never closes. Open and accessible 24/7, 365. Which one are you going to go with? Right? The reason that she couldn't get her money was right here. If it's here, she's completely and totally in 100% control of it, and no one can take it from her. It's a beautiful invention. And you're crazy not to at least play around with it. Next. When governments and central banks print more money, they absolutely devalue and make the existing supply worth less. This is why inflation never goes into deflation, as things should naturally become cheaper due to improved methods of production. Why are your homes more expensive today when it's easier to make bricks and siding and paneling and carpet? They're more expensive today than they were back in the day when it was harder to lay bricks. Why? Like they didn't have the lifts, they didn't have the machines that they had back then, they didn't have the things. So it should be easier to make your houses and your shoes and your cars. But your shoes get lighter, cheaper material every year, and the price still goes up. And they're made in cheaper and cheaper countries by cheaper and cheaper workforce. So explain to me, and cheaper quality. So explain to me how they continue to either stay the same price or go exorbitantly up. It's because it's planned that way. An inflation illustration, here it is. Not that I would recommend Crackdonald's Big Yucks, but in the 70s or 80s or whatever, a McDonald's Big Mac was 50 cents. Today, it's $5. 10 times what it was. It cost 10 times what it did 5 years ago. In 20 years, what's a Big Mac going to be worth? Like, not that I recommend killing yourself with this sludge. That, dogs and insects won't eat that food. It's crazy. There's videos all over the internet of like a dog walking up to a Big Mac and going, turning around, peeing on it. It's hilarious. 20 years it may cost. Can you imagine $30 for a Big Mac just so you can have high blood pressure? Did the price go up because the burger quality improved? No. Not at all. The price went up because they printed money. And they made things cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, but still charge you exorbitant amounts. That's inflation. Paper dollars always lose purchasing power over time, and inflation is theft of your money without even reaching into your back pocket or your wallet. That's what it is. Simple, easy. Next. Dollars purchasing power, all this is showing you that a dollar in 1913 had the same purchasing power as $26 today. $26.14. Right here, Federal Reserve Act creates a central bank with the ability to manage the country's money supply, 1913. Creature from Jekyll Island. A bunch of people who got together who were not elected on Jekyll Island, Georgia, got together on the site of an old cannibalistic Native American burial ground where they had ritual sacrifice of humans. Funny, right? Strange that the Federal Reserve was founded on that spot. Blood sacrifice, right? So that was $26.14 is the equivalent. Now it's $1. Now here, that's how much of your dollar is left. From 1913 to here we are 110 years later. Look what they did. They gutted it. They gutted everything. Most of the money went to weapons manufacturers, went to World War I, World War II, sinking boats and planes and ships and killing people and drug money. And they tell you that, all these Bitcoin people are laundering money. Have you seen what's going on? It's crazy. Who's laundering the money? They're doing it, and they're telling you that we're doing it. Oh yeah, another one. Oh, we got to stop the farting cows and the big SUVs. Because, have you heard this? But really, because they're polluting the environment. Who's really polluting the environment? The dudes in the planes dropping the chemicals. See? Who's really causing the problems, right? It's these guys. Next. It took 215 years for the U.S. to reach $7 trillion in debt. It then took only 27 months to add another $7 trillion. 215 years to get the first 7 trillion. 215 years. Then we did the same in a little over 2 years, 27 months. See, this is the rate at which we're going. It's unsustainable. Wheels are coming off, people. Hold on, buckle your seatbelt, and get ready, because you are not going to be able to transact outside the system unless you have a way to transact outside the system. Make sense? And people think, they're just, see, what's all your IRAs and 401ks and all your pensions and retirements and everything? What are they earning anyway? I don't know. Who cares? 4%, 8%, 12%, 40%? Who cares? Because it's all fake money. It's all fake money to begin with. Yeah, you might live okay off of it for a little while, sure, but it's all fake money. Next. So where should you keep it? Cash in your mattress, it's going to go to zero. It all does. You got to buy scarce assets. Your cash in the bank is evaporating every single day. We're almost done. Or you could do cash in the banks, but as we discussed, it's not your money anymore. You could do a bunch of stocks. It could be split, reissued, devalued. We did a short little breakdown of this in part 1, but it bears repeating. It cannot be stocks. You can buy all the Apple stock, Google stock, Facebook stock, all that stuff, Amazon stock, all you want, but you can't transfer it to anybody else. You can't transact with it. I don't know what you think you're going to do with it. And there's no guarantee that the companies will be around. Do you have Xerox stock, Kodak stock, Blockbuster stock? Right? It's all technological change. Go back. Sorry. It's all technological change. Mutual funds. I used to be like, God, what am I going to do? I got to invest in something. And then I'd look at these mutual funds, and there'd be pharmaceutical companies and like weapons manufacturers and like, law firms, just weird stuff. I'm like, I don't want to put my money into stuff like that. But people have their stuff in all these mutual funds, and they don't even understand, like the biotechnology that they're doing, rolling out all the mRNA stuff. You've got all this crap in the stock market. Guess what? Some of it's probably invested in some of this crap. Financing your own enslavement. What if you found out that, you had this fund, you had a mutual fund, and half the stuff that you were invested in was surveillance technology and facial recognition? Think about this, man. They're not going to tell you. You might have morals. Can't have that. Next. Bonds. Not enough interest to keep up with the fake CPI number that they put in front of your face every day with inflation. They change it. They make it up. They tell you what products are going to be in the basket, and then they value the basket, and then that's the number they give you for the inflation. These guys were masters at lying with statistics. Real estate, well, that's good, yeah. Real estate, they're not making any more of it. I get that, but like, you got to understand, it can be taxed, it can be seized, it can be impaired. Legislation, you got a crappy neighbor that moves in next door, right? Property taxes, maintenance costs, insurance, not easily liquidated. How are you going to liquidate it? Not transportable. Limits your movement. You got, you got a 100-acre ranch. That's great. Kudos, good for you. But guess what? Stuff goes down, and a train derailment spills, 30 miles away from your 100-acre ranch. Guess what? You're done. Your water is poisoned. Your land is poisoned forever. Look at Ohio. I know people up there that are close by. I mean, the fish have 4 eyes. It's ridiculous. So they could do something bad. Anybody could do something bad to your real estate. I grew up next to a house that it was like, it looked like Amityville Horror house. I mean, just walking by it would give you the creeps, right? Then we always hated that house being right next to our, because it brought the value down, and it made me a little creeped out my whole childhood. But the real estate thing, it's not easily liquidated, and it limits your movement. You're not going anywhere if you got a 100-acre ranch, right? Previous metals. Yeah, you could say previous metals. Precious metals, they can be confiscated, stolen, or destroyed. Supply can be increased by mining. It's very difficult to transport. Try running 100 yards in your bug out bag with 50 ounces, 150 ounces of silver. You ain't getting very far, brother. And it's making a lot of noise in the meantime, right? But very difficult to transport. For 14 years, gold has not been a good inflation hedge. The whole entire precious metals market went absolutely bonkers last week when gold went over $2,000, right? It took 14 years. And here's the crypto guys, here's all the Bitcoin guys going, yeah, it went up 10 grand in a month with Bitcoin. But here's gold going up to 2,000 and everybody's freaking out. And it's been riding at 2,000, like 1980, 1990, finally hits 2,000 and everybody has a coronary. It's ridiculous. But IRAs and 401ks controlled by other entities, taxed excessively. Like so many people, they have IRAs, 401ks, but they don't want to touch them because the government will take 40% of it.
Yes.
Right?
Amen.
Right? So whose money really is it? Yeah. The government's. Next. And then, of course, don't keep your money in murder care or socialist insecurity. I don't know why you do that, but I just had to put that on there. So where should you keep it? Well, you got your pensions and your IRAs and your 401ks and your savings accounts and your life insurance and your stocks. They're all Wall Street bankers' attempts at keeping you in a scarcity mindset while you give them their money and they reinvest it and make a bunch more money off of it. They rob you blind and they keep you blind. That's how these things were created. Pensions went away long time ago, and then they came up with what? 401ks to get people in the same trap. It's the same exact trap. Houses, gold, silver, commodities, stocks, bonds, when the price goes up, the supply's increased. So what does that tell you about these? Should we do that or not? If the supply can be manipulated, you see that with realtors all the time, right? The real estate, the houses, the gold, the silver, the commodities, the price changes drastically based on the supply. But what if you had something that you actually control and hold in self-custody privately and autonomously with no chance of it ever being stolen, and you know that the rate of adoption is going to go up as people understand the power of this technology? I would go with this one. Next. Where should you keep your money? There you go. Other reasons to finally start caring. People say, well, I don't care. I'm doing okay. I've got all my money in with Fidelity or Vanguard or whatever, or BlackRock. I've got all my money. Do you? Better look into that one, right? Or they say, well, I'm doing okay. I'm living off dividends. Good, great, perfect. But what happens when all that shuts down? Financial services and check-to-cash establishments are now obsolete. They just don't know it yet. Western Union, you'll be in trouble. You got all these people sending money to Guatemala and El Salvador and all the places that they're from, right? And Western Union's taking 10, 15, 20, 30% of every dollar that's sent. But when people figure out that they don't need to do that, they're done. All the financial services check-to-cash places. How many check-to-cash places are there in Cleveland? Dozens. Your property rights are being threatened by CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. If you want to know more about that, we talked about it in part 1. You should learn how to protect your savings from an authoritarian government or an unstable environment, no matter what, right? Bitcoin can be a life raft for fleeing refugees. The sinking ship is inevitable. What if people in World War II, when they were fleeing Nazi Germany, what if they had the technology that Bitcoin allows? What if they didn't have to leave their investments in their property, their money, their savings? What if they didn't have to leave that behind, right? This is something that changes how people live. It's fascinating. The sinking ship is inevitable. The ship's going down. It's just who's going to get on the life raft? Who's going to get on the boat, right? Next. You could hold 10 million, 50, you could hold hundreds of millions of dollars in what you call a brain wallet. It's just your memory, right? If you memorize 12 words, 24 words, and you just have those words in the right order, you cross over a border, you get off a plane in a new country, everything goes to hell in a handbasket here. You hike across to another country somewhere, or you get on a ship and you go somewhere, you get on a plane, you go somewhere, you land, you touch down, you hop on a computer, boop, 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 and you've got those 12 words in your head. You reconstitute, you add water back to the powdered Bitcoin, so to speak, and guess what happens? You've got everything that you had, all that monetary financial energy from the work of your hands that God blessed you with that no one else can take, and it reconstitutes. You walk across any border, you got 12 words in your head. What are they going to do? How are they going to get it out of your head? Well, unless you get a brain chip. Don't get a brain chip. Next. So other reasons to start caring. Send funds all over the world to other relatives in other countries, no fees. Remember 2020? Banks shut down, branches and limited ATM withdrawals. Biden's IRS weaponization is set to track bank withdrawals over $600. They're sending billions to a foreign country, and they want to raid your house for $600. See? Satanists. Every one of them. It's all theater. Next. PayPal threatened to sweep $2,500 out of users' bank accounts for social media misinformation. I don't know if you remember that. Does anybody remember that? We got rid of PayPal the next day. Now we're still using Venmo and Cash App, but we want to get rid of those. Patriots and political dissidents have had bank accounts wiped absolutely clean. Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Cyprus, Italy, they've just robbed people, wheelbarrows full of cash that aren't worth anything anymore. And some of these countries, Venezuela and Zimbabwe. Cyprus, they they stole 40% of bail-ins overnight. This was a few years ago. And the banks just took a 40% right out of people's accounts. Said, oh, this is ours now. That was Cyprus. That was just a few years ago. Country, Cyprus, over in the Middle East. The government, over in Europe, over in the Mediterranean. The government's warfare and welfare programs, as well as money printing during the pandemic, were the perfect way for them to stab you in the back while shaking your hand. When everybody was getting their $1,200 stimmy checks and everything, I was like, this isn't coming from just, their love for us. Watch prices and watch eggs and watch all this other crap go crazy. Didn't know the egg thing was going to happen, but it's like, it has to come. It's a boomerang. It has to come back. They're just going to print this out of thin air. Where'd you think they were getting this? Everybody was loving it. They were going and dumping $1,200 on a nice, on a nice dinner or something like that. It's like it's fake money. It's all fake money. On September 7th, 2021, bet you didn't hear this in the news. El Salvador became the first country to officially adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. In Spanish, the savior. Interesting, right? So El Salvador's whole entire economy is running off Bitcoin now. It's crazy. Well, I can't say whole entire economy, but it's legal tender. Go check that out. You won't find that in mainstream media. They don't want you to know about that. And the president of El Salvador is an absolute butt kicker. Like, he is not going for any of this World Economic Forum crap. He's a butt kicker. Bukele, Nayib Bukele is his name. Remember, don't confuse sound money with Dave Ramsey personal finance. Dave Ramsey's great. He gets you out of debt. But this is talking about sound money. How do you save and everything Dave Ramsey does is dollars. Everything he does. Regarding the current state of technocracy, many say, I have nothing to hide. I don't care. Let them look at my search history. Let them look at my emails. Let them look at this. Let them look at that. Yeah, you do have stuff you want to hide because you could say or believe something today that'll be illegal tomorrow. Like men can't have babies. How about that? Right? So now that's hate speech, right? So if you don't think that there's a reason to be private in your transactions, if you don't think there's a reason for you to maintain your own privacy, then watch how things change in the next few years. Next. Borrowers can acquire loans backed by their Bitcoin collateral. Look at that. An ever-increasing number. This space is getting nuts. I mean, there's so much ingenuity and innovation happening in the space. Ever-increasing number of Bitcoin-only companies are creating a new financial system that doesn't care about your credit score. How is your credit score determined?
How much debt you have.
How much debt, how many accounts are open, but you know, the formula, what I'm saying is the formula of how your credit score is determined. Does anybody know that formula? Nobody in this room knows that formula. It's because they don't make it public. It's an arbitrary number. Nobody knows how your credit score is formulated. But doesn't your credit score dictate what interest you pay on loans and things you take out? But it's not open source. It's not for everybody to look at and see. You see what a scam this is? So everybody's paying different interest rates based on a number that nobody knows how they get it. Even Dave Ramsey doesn't know how a credit score is formed. Did you know that? He doesn't know. There's the algorithm for how they create your credit score, no one knows. How closely guarded is that? What kind of secret is that? But Bitcoin doesn't give a rip about your credit score. But if I wanted to go and say, hey, I've got, $5 million in Bitcoin. If I want to take out $1 million loan to buy a house or car or whatever, what would I do? I would put up some Bitcoin for collateral, take out $1 million loan of worthless USD, dollar, fiat, cash, trash, right? Boom. Buy whatever I need, put the rest of it into something that's doing a little something where I can just pay that off, and boom, I'm back in business, right? So you can take a loan out with your Bitcoin as the collateral. You can do Bitcoin mortgages if you want to go in debt for a house, but you can do Bitcoin mortgages. That's been a thing for a long time. You can either have a decentralized form of private transaction or a centralized federal form of universal basic income that is surveilled and controlled. The choice is yours. Going forward, objections you'll commonly hear in the mainstream media. We'll just blast through these. These are objections, and I encourage you to look into and do your own research and check things out. I've tried to present as much information as I could in last class and this class, and try to encourage you to look into some of this stuff and not just pay attention to what you hear in the media. But these are some of the things you're going to hear. Bitcoin can be banned by the government. False. Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. We just disproved that. False. Bitcoin's too volatile. What's more volatile? The US dollar going to zero? Or Bitcoin going up and down as more and more people get into it? What's more volatile? Bitcoin is too slow to be useful. Oh, you don't know about the Lightning Network. We'll cover that in the personal sit-down, non-filmed class. We'll cover that. Bitcoin is not too slow. I can send something to the other side of the world in seconds for less than a penny. There's so much innovation going on in this space. It's so exciting. Bitcoin is for criminals. Really? What about the US dollars? It's unbelievable. But people still parrot that, Bitcoin wastes energy. There's places in the world where Bitcoin is being used from volcanoes. They're turning the energy, the heat into Bitcoin. Like what? Show me, what are the wind turbines doing in the electric cars? And they're not concerned about those, but they're concerned about Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's bad for the environment. Of course, the farting cows. Bitcoin makes the cows fart. Bitcoin's not scarce because it can be cloned. This one's partly true. Most of the cryptocurrencies out there, the altcoins, they're just cut and paste copies of the Bitcoin code. But Bitcoin is scarce. That part's not true. Bitcoin is scarce because there's a limited supply. So you'll hear that. Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme, kind of like the Federal Reserve, right? Bitcoin's a pyramid scheme, kind of like the back of your dollar bills with the Illuminati symbolism on them, right? That's a pyramid scheme. It's got a pyramid on it, right? Bitcoin's a bubble, not quite. Bitcoin doesn't scale, Lightning Network. Bitcoin is manipulated by whales. Whales are the term for people who hold a lot of Bitcoin or a lot of people who hold a lot of money in cryptocurrency. Bitcoin's controlled by whatever government. No, that's not the case. Bitcoin's controlled by miners. Keep going. Bitcoin can be destroyed by a quantum computer. Bitcoin's old technology. Bitcoin is a pet rock. Bitcoin is based on nothing. It just goes on and on. So you got to do your own research like we all have, like people who've figured this out. You got to dig into it. I can give you some resources that will blow your mind. You won't have enough time in your life to read all this stuff. It's just ridiculous. And there's more good stuff coming out all the time. as people in different industries figure out how we can totally gut healthcare. That's where I'm going. We're going to gut it. We're going to tear it to the ground. We're going to raise it to the ground, right? Can you do it with Bitcoin? Yeah, it's an ethical form of money that pharmaceutical companies can't pay a bunch of politicians to print, and then they have a product they roll out and force everybody to take, and then the politicians just see how it works. If you eliminate that money printer, if you pull the plug on that thing, all these guys go down. So I'd love the idea of that. Oh, is that it right there? Oh, yeah. Go back. You might got to do your own research. There are answers to your questions. Media is going to try to influence you, but just, and they try to influence your opinion for a reason, but only if you let them, right? Only. They only have as much space as you give them. So last but not least, commercial break. Come on up, Heidi. Almost done.
Alrighty, so this patient said, before finding Divine Design, I spent most of my life following and trying quick fad diets and following advice from people on television for my health with little to no temporary results. After being a Divine Design patient, I realized my family and I were not aware of how deceived we truly were. I have learned so much about my body and how God wants me to take care of it. Being here has also strengthened me spiritually. I am now sharing with others the health God has intended for them, not the government.
Who was that? That was really well said. Huh? Oh, I can't see. Yeah, that was really well said. Whoever said that. Okay, we're almost done. Last but not least, some of you are going to keep trusting the government until your pronouns are was, were. There's absolutely no reason. You already saw it, didn't you? There's absolutely no reason for a child in this age to have a cell phone. I didn't think anybody was going to get that one. Wow, you guys surprised me. That's great. What if I told you questioning science is science? Oh, can't believe the last 3 years. What do you do for a living? God's work. Oh, you're a minister? Not quite. Go back to that one real quick. You can't tell, but I just got a haircut that day. And look at, the greatest thing about this is he's not using the ball part of the hammer, he's using the claw. I love it. Okay, I'll have to read this one to you. This is so messed up. This is the birthplace, or where he lived, of George Orwell from 1903 to 1950. Novelist and political essayist lived here with a security surveillance camera outside his house. It's the home of George Orwell with a security camera outside his house. How to be free? Well, you could vote harder. We all know how that's going to turn out. You could change other people. We all know how that's going to go. Or do what you're doing right here, right now. Do what I did by making this class. Produce solutions without government permission. Yeah, I like that one. So these are our crew right here. Homeschoolers, homesteaders, home birthers, self-sufficient survivalists, farmers, ranchers, preppers, natural health advocates. They're already Bitcoiners who simply just don't know it yet. Why? Number one, Bitcoiners prefer decentralization. We don't want one person in charge of anything. Like right now, we are busy building out our supplement lines so that we're not dependent as dependent on one or two companies as we have been for a year or two. You know, we've been very dependent. Pre-COVID's hoax, we were very dependent on like 2 or 3 companies. But once the COVID's thing went down and the shipping started going crazy and all, I kind of broadened my scope. And now today, even just the last week, I'd say the last 2 months, we're broadening our scope so that nothing can shut this place down. Nothing. We've got other companies, we've got other things so that we're not dependent on one source of failure, one point of failure. Because I prefer decentralization. I don't want to be, limited by one rate limiting factor, Number 2, Bitcoiners embrace the principle of self-custody. I don't need a bank to hold my stuff and tell me what I can or can't do with it. I don't need it. I'm a responsible, grown, human, male, guy, boy, man. What do you say these days? Man. I'm man. I'm a responsible dude. I can handle my own stuff. I don't need some financial advisor to shut me out of my stuff that I've worked my whole life for. Because now we have the technology to make it easy. Before, it would have been difficult. Now we have the technology to put it in cyberspace where nobody's even they're not even going to be able to find it. Right? So I like self-custody. Some people that freaks them out. They're like, well, what if I lose it? You could. You could. You could lose it, or somebody else could lose it. Which do you prefer? Right? So, but if you do the right thing, it's almost very difficult for you to lose it. We can talk about that, and that's why we have the other class that we're talking about. Number 3, Bitcoiners understand proof of work. Nothing comes free. Electricity, it makes sense. Number 4, Bitcoiners fight FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I've covered that before. I think I covered that in the last class. Bitcoiners gravitate to libertarian ideas. Libertarian. I'm not saying you have to worship Ron Paul. What I'm saying is this. It's libertarian is like small government, big people, right? Libertarian is like, leave me alone, get out of my business. Government, stay away. Libertarian. That's all that means. Number 6, Bitcoiners value personal responsibility. Why? Because we value being able to do stuff ourselves, right? Number 7, we believe in hope and freedom. Man, I've met some great people who are Bitcoiners, and how they got to be Bitcoiners was realizing all the stuff that I'm telling you right now. Like, wow, this is a technology that allows us to get outside the system. Who would not want this? Number 8, Bitcoiners push education. Why am I teaching you a class right here that I'm not being paid for? Because I'm trying to educate you freely, educate you on the stuff so that you can break out of the system and make, not just fall into what I did was a bunch of, YouTube videos that just went nowhere, people chasing charts and showing graphs and all this kinds of crazy stuff. But I can explain it, break it down, educate you, get you on board. And by getting you on board, the system gets bigger. It's beautiful. Bitcoiners have low time preference. High time preference is I got to have it now, got to have it now, got to have it now. I prefer a short amount of time. Low time preference means I'll wait 5 years, 10 years. I'll just keep putting a little bit in every day. Don't need it right now. Just laying back, working hard, putting stuff away. I don't need a big fancy house and a car right now like everybody else, because 76% of the United States population, it pains me to say this, 76% of the US population lives paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because they've been watching one of these things in their living room telling them what to buy, telling them that they need new stuff. Number 10, Bitcoiners are entering the then they fight you stage. What do I mean by this? Right here. First, stage 1, they ignore you. Then they laugh at you, stage 2. Stage 3, then they fight you. Stage 4, then you win, right? That's where we're at. So in closing, we're almost there. You no longer have to listen to the fictional reserve banking system. You no longer have to wait for the Fed to determine policy and interest rates. You no longer have to listen to politicians who can't even tell convincing lies anymore. You no longer have to lose sleep while your bank is imploding. I slept like a baby while all these banks were getting crushed. And I don't mean to rub that into people. It's just the fact of the matter. You don't have to worry about your bank going away. You no longer have to be financially castrated with no means of transacting with other people. You no longer have to worry about theft and inflation and bailouts and bail-ins or quantitative easing. You no longer have to be denied access to your pension, your IRA, your 401k, or your stock portfolio. What I'm saying is get it, sell it, and turn it over into something that you can control, right? You no longer have to worry about central bank digital currencies, surveillance, and or censorship. Now, you kind of do. That's not 100% true. You kind of do need to be concerned about that. Bitcoin, the great thing about it is it's a public blockchain. Bitcoin, the bad thing about it is it's a public blockchain. Does that make sense? So like if you wanted to watch your government, how your government's spending money and everything was in Bitcoin, guess what? You could go and see if it was a $1,200 toilet seat they bought or one that was on sale for $9.99, right? It's a public blockchain. It's a public thing that you can go and you can look and see what was paid and who did what with who. Now, it's not by name, but you can trace addresses. And there are on-chain analytical companies that will trace addresses to, certain people's names and stuff like that. But it's not, the names are not there. However, where was I going with that? But what if you could watch your government spending money in real time? That'd make people act differently, wouldn't it? But the only other downside of that is whatever address you have, anybody can see what's in that address. They just can't attach it to your name. So there's other ways to do this securely and privately. What I'm trying to say is it's a public blockchain. So people can see what happens on that blockchain, but they just can't tell who you are. Cool? So you no longer have to worry about CBDCs, surveillance and censorship. you do still need to be concerned about it. I should have changed that. Bitcoin allows you to become your own bank, your own bookkeeper, your own wealth manager, your own brokerage account, your own retirement fund, your own financial advisor, right, Ma? Your own payment processor, your own sovereign individual. You don't have to ask anybody's permission. Guess what? You've got all of this at your fingertips with technology that's brand new. In review, Bitcoin is, you don't need permission. Go ahead. It's programmable. You can tell it what to do. It's decentralized. Nobody owns it. Nobody runs it. You don't require trust in other people. It's code. It's transparent. It's visible, what I meant by public blockchain. It's transparent. You can see it. It cannot be shut off. It's censorship resistant. And more importantly than anything else, it's scarce. Scarce, scarce. So when you're first getting started, just do this. If you're just getting started, as we say, getting orange pilled, because Bitcoin is orange. The actual logo is orange. So like when you hear people say, oh, red pilled, blue pilled, or orange pilled, orange is Bitcoin. Focus on Bitcoin, not crypto. Almost all are scams, unregistered securities, or venture capitalist pump and dumps, period. End of story, drop the mic. I played with it, I watched it, I saw it. You can play with it if you want, but I'm just telling you, there's a difference between Bitcoin and crypto. Every crypto project claims to be bigger, faster, better, stronger, faster than Bitcoin. All of them. I've never seen one that didn't say, yeah, we're better than Bitcoin because I want to sell you my unregistered security altcoin, and we're gonna give you a bunch of interest, and we're gonna pay you with a bunch more tokens that we printed out of nothing. Crypto, Web3, decentralized finance, DeFi, like MetaMask and stuff like that, NFTs, non-fungible tokens. You don't want to mess with any of those. When you're first starting out, just don't even pay any attention to any of this. When you're first starting out, stay away from, don't get sucked into this. Next. If you do purchase Bitcoin on an exchange, remove it immediately. If you want to figure it out on your own, you can. We'll show you. It's easy, it's simple, it's straightforward, but if you mess it up that first time, I'll just say this, there's no customer support for Bitcoin. So if you send it to the wrong address, it's gone and it's gone forever and you'll never see it again. There's no website you go to and you fill out a help page. There's nothing. You are responsible. So that's why I've lost a little bit and I've made some mistakes. You know, I sent it to the, I've sent some stuff. I mean, I think we all have if you've messed around in the space enough. And the first time I did that, I thought I was going to puke. It made me very, very, very angry with myself. So if you do purchase Bitcoin on an exchange, remove it immediately. If you don't know how to do that, come to the thing that we're about to talk about, and I'll tell you how to do it. Be wary of brokerage accounts that allow you to purchase but not move your Bitcoin. There are a lot of them out there. Robinhood, you can buy Bitcoin, you just can't move it. So in order to move that money, you have to sell your Bitcoin and then just move the cash. So if you're going to do that, you're throwing money away. Also, you have no excuse. Just take $100 of Bitcoin. Lock it down just in case. You spend that much on stupid insurance for an unlikely event. Why not spend it on an extremely likely event, like the case that there's going to be a currency collapse and there's going to be government surveillance of all your transactions. So why not just take $100? If you've got the money, take 500, 1,000, take 10,000, take whatever. Put it in something where you custody it and no one even knows you own it. Just hide it. Save it. Stick it away. It's your monetary energy. It's your retirement. It's everything you worked for. Why let somebody steal it, huh?
It's a safe mattress.
It's a safe mattress, right. Understand that most will never do this, just because understanding Bitcoin means accepting some very uncomfortable truths, like we've talked about. Next, you'll soon realize, if you do this, that allocating just 1% of your savings is going to put the other 99 at a higher risk as you suck liquidity out of the fictional reserve banking Ponzi scheme known as the government-issued fiat paper money. And you're going to go, well, shoot, now I see how this works. Why do I have 99% of my other stuff in the bank? And you're going to, the light bulb's going to go on and you're going to go, damn, I just got orange pilled. You're going to go, this is what he was talking about. So sign up for our upcoming workshop. There's a sheet up front. Our future event will be in person, and we're not going to record it because it's going to be, here you got to, download this app and do this and set up, link your bank account. And so we're not going to record this, so we're going to be talking about some stuff, and I'll just go around and help people and show people, hey, this is what I do. Here's the easy way to do it. Here's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. There'll be 2 options. I think the best way to do this is just have a Monday evening at 6 or a Saturday afternoon at 1. And I'll just teach both of them. I'll just come to both of them and help whoever shows up. But sign up so we know how many people are interested. We'll probably do this sometime in May or June because they're rolling out the FedNow CBDC government-backed slave coin very soon. And so I want to do this sooner rather than later. But tell us which option. There'll be a column. Just check the Monday at 6 or the Saturday at 1 option. Sign up and tell us which one you prefer. We'll announce the dates later. We'll do both. We'll do one of each. But we'll show you how to purchase, how to send it, how to store it, and how to spend it, if you choose, using all your Bitcoin. Or not using all your Bitcoin, using a chunk of your Bitcoin. We'll show you how to do it so there's no messing up. Okay, next. And then we will answer your questions about how can I legitimately use Bitcoin in my regular life? How do I pick an app? There are millions of them. Which ones do I use? Which ones are safe? Which ones are good? Is it on-chain or is it Lightning? You got to have some of these questions answered. So what if the app gets censored or deplatformed from Apple or Android? You have to think about these things. Like if all of a sudden Bitcoin, the government passes this thing and says, hey, Apple, hey, Google, hey, Android, get rid of all your Bitcoin apps. What would happen? There's a fix. We've already thought of it. It's already out there. People have already, because they could ban that. They could ban some of the wallets and some of the applications that are out there. But we'll answer some of these questions. What can I actually do with it? People say, okay, well, I bought a bunch of Bitcoin. Now what do I do with it? They don't know. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. You can buy anything in the world with Bitcoin. I can't think of anything yet that you can't buy with a Bitcoin. Maybe an airplane, something. I don't know, but who would do that anyway? But what can I actually do with it? You can pay your bills with it. You can pay anything with it, right? And what are all my options concerning all this stuff? There's a lot of options. So next. So sign up for that if you're interested. Get your friends, get your family, tell people. I mean, there's nothing in this for me. It's basically like me trying to get as many people on this life raft as possible before the Titanic goes under, because we all know it's going under, right? We are attempting to proactively prepare you for the FedNow government CBDC rollout looming on the horizon. They're saying July. I don't know that they could get their crap together that fast, but we're going to be prepared for it. Next. The only incentive for us is to help our friends and families to achieve financial independence in the same way that we currently help them to gain health independence. Our network, security, and independence will increase the network, the security, and the independence of the Bitcoin community, right? So, and here's the deal. Go back. Divine Design Natural Health is soon moving in the direction of exclusively accepting payment in Bitcoin. And go to the, what do I mean by that? Go to this website Jonathan's going to show you. So we're moving towards this very soon. Now, click on map. This is just btcmap.org. Now, right here, stay right there. Don't go anywhere. People say, well, you can't use Bitcoin anywhere. That's a world map. And there are numbers inside each of these. So here, let's scroll over here, Jonathan, to like America. And if you look at the numbers, like Europe is chock full. America, lots of stuff. South America, lots of stuff. As you zoom in a little bit, you'll see the numbers split out. Zoom into where we are. What's this one over here in Cleveland, Tennessee, right here? What is that? Do you know where you live?
Yeah, I thought Cleveland was right here, right?
No. No, dude, zoom out. You had it up in here. Right here, right over here. Up to the left, 11 o'clock. There you go. What does that say right there? Click on that little blue thing. Divine Design Natural Health, open Monday through Thursday, 10 to 6. Huh, weird. They accept Bitcoin. They accept Lightning payments. It was last surveyed March 21st, 2023. You can navigate to the place. You can edit the listing. You can share it. You can send it to a friend. But look around. How many other places around here actually accept Bitcoin? Not many. So once again, we're way ahead of the curve, right? That's just, we get used to living in that spot ahead of the curve. So what we're trying to do is move people eventually to the point. I'm no longer interested in US dollars. I'm interested in this. So we're moving people to the point when they come and they clamp down on your bank account and they say, in order for you to get to your money, you have to get the shot and you have to get a little thing put in your right hand or your forehead. It's coming. I've been telling you for 4 years, get your money out of the bank. This is where it's going. And this soon, at some point in the very near future, will be the only way that I will transact with other humans, because it's getting to that point. We have to know this money's fake. I want something that's eternal, something that's sunshine minted into electricity, that is incorruptible monetary energy. That's what I want. I don't want money. I don't want US dollars. I want this. So other people then will be able to download this app, link your bank account to it. I hate to ask people to do this just for us, but here's the deal. You're gonna have to do this at some point. You're either gonna have to do this or accept the Fed coin, the slave coin, as we call it, right? So by me forcing, helping us to get closer to that, I don't want to say forcing people, but by us, kind of helping each other get to that point, it's like now we have an open channel of transaction that will never go down, ever, right? Because we know how to transact now outside of a corrupt, evil system. So we're moving towards that point very soon, very soon. And so there will be an app that you will download, and you will link your bank account to it. And if you want to buy Bitcoin, great, you can send it to me. If you don't want to buy Bitcoin, great, you can send me US dollars, and on my end, I will pull up my phone and it will arrive to me in Bitcoin. That's the technology and the innovation that people are doing out there, because they're seeing, like, I'm going to start paying people in Bitcoin pretty soon. Makes sense. I'm just going to start transacting with people and going, let's do this. Let's make this circular economy where we all live off Bitcoin, because it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get bigger. So just FYI, that's why we do this. Quickly, I'll take 2 questions. I know we're a little bit over time. What time is it? Somebody hit me. We're 25 minutes over. I told you 7:30. Sorry. Give me 2 questions. Anybody questions? Going once, going twice. Yes. Microphone to Jackie. Question.
What happens if, the grid goes down, electrical grid?
Watch the first class.
I did. It didn't. I forgot what it said about that. I watched it, but I didn't retain it, apparently.
Yeah, we answered that. Okay, grid goes down. Well, if grid goes down, your bank account's gone anyway. You're
True.
not going to your bank. You're not going to your ATM, and it's going to be Mad Max. So grid
That's
goes
true.
down. I still have stuff is going to have to be restored, because they can't run their financial slave coin, and they can't run the mark of the beast, and they can't run digital surveillance and smart meters without
They can't do the
electricity.
Great Reset without
They can't do
electricity.
the Great
so
Reset without tracking everybody with
that
electricity.
guarantees that it's not going to end for very long if it does.
Right.
You answered my question.
There
Very
you
good.
go. Easy answer. One other question. Anybody? Wida. Yeah.
I've been hearing that there's a back door on most everything, that the government can still get into anything and track you that way.
So what's your question? Does Bitcoin have a
Yeah.
back door?
Yeah. Are they
It's-
able to hack into, can the government still trace through a quote back door for Bitcoin?
If the government could get into Bitcoin, the government wouldn't be fighting tooth and nail to stop Bitcoin. So is it possible? I mean, I suppose anything's possible. But the fact that it's an editable open source, Bitcoin is an open source code. So it's nobody owns, like Microsoft Word, you can't look at the code because Bill Gates has it on lockdown. It's all patented and trademarked and all the stuff, right? Bitcoin is free and open source software. So people can look at the code and audit it, meaning like the Fed's never been audited in 110 years. Bitcoin's audited every 10 minutes. So people are looking at this code. Millions of eyes are looking at this code all the time. They're computer programmers, they're coders, they're developers, they're people looking at this stuff. Let me just say this. I guess there's hundreds of millions of eyeballs looking at this thing every day. If there was a back door, we probably would have found it by now, because it's 14 years old and the government hates it so much that they're trying to shut it down every single day. So the fact that the government hates it, the fact they can't control it, the fact that they haven't shut it down yet, it's the Lindy effect. And the Lindy effect is like, the longer something's around, the longer it's probably, the better the chances that it's going to stay. So like, how about airplanes? How about the internet? How about, everybody had problems with there's some people that when electricity came out and running water came out, they're like, no, that's of the devil, right? But we all know where that went. Like, you're not going to stop this. Because there's no way that, even if there was a back door, every 10 minutes, it's getting more and more secure because it's laying down more and more blocks. So even if there was some kind of back door, people would know it by now, and they would have played that card. I mean, short answer. Anything else? I'll take one more. Anybody?
You said you were going to show us how.
Microphone.
You said in the workshop you would show us how to pay our everyday bills and that kind of thing.
I don't know if we'll get all the way to that, but it's possible. I don't know if we'll get to that, depending on what questions everybody has. I really don't know how we're doing this. I've never done something like this before, where it's like, okay, everybody, bring your phone or your computer, and we're going to sit down and have a little hoedown. I've never done this before, so I don't know how fast it's going to go, and I don't know how long it's going to take. So I really don't know. But can you do it? Yes. Yes. Will we have time to show you? I don't know, because we still have to show you how to take your worthless U.S. dollar, fiat, cash, trash, and change it into Bitcoin. And then we have to show you how to take the Bitcoin from there and move it to something that you control. And then we have to show you from there to move it, like if you did want to pay your bills, how do you take it from point B and move it to point C? How do you convert it into something else? I don't know how much time we're going to have, but that's on the docket for further down the road. You had a question? Microphone? Yes. Last question. Then we're out.
Well, you said that anyone can read the code or
Coders,
Well-
programmers. Anybody can look at the blockchain. Any normal person can look at the blockchain. I don't know that it's going to look that.
It's not something that we as individuals can look or.
You can. Yeah. The blockchain itself. Yeah, you can look at it.
I mean, how do you look at it?
It's on any website. It's very simple. You can just go and look at the blockchain. Like, there's a lot of ways to do it. Yeah, I wouldn't get lost in the weeds on that. Okay, May 8th, Lies Chiropractors Tell, Part 2, where we throw everybody, including myself, under the proverbial bus. And then June 12th is Part 4, Say What You Meme what you say. Thank you very much. We'll talk more later. If you have questions, things on the internet, Facebook, stuff like that, call. We'll get you signed up for the in-person stuff so that we can help you.